Okay. Next we come to cellulose. As I said, whenever we talk about cellulose, always think about two things. One is dietary fiber. Every cellulose will have dietary fiber, and every cellulose, most of them will be actually green leafy vegetables. But without, there are certain green leafy vegetables. So without, there are exceptions. For example, as I said, the fruit pulp that we eat. When we have apple, we're not only having the juice and throwing away the pulp, we're also eating the pulp. So that pulp will have a lot of cellulose. When we are having orange, we don't take the juice and throw away the pulp. We are encouraged to have the pulp. That pulp will have a lot of cellulose. But our body cannot, our stomach cannot digest cellulose. Right? But still we need to have it to increase the bulk of our food. Correct? So that is cellulose, and cellulose also falls under the category of carbohydrate. Right? What are these? Cellulose basically forms the cell walls of plants, and it is a very hardy substance. We can't understand at a microscopic level. It is very hard. That's the reason why our HCl, hydrochloric acid, and other enzymes cannot break this. It's only cows, herbivores, as in herbivores, only they can break down cellulose. That's the reason why they have they have that cud, no? Remember, so they also have to chew it twice.
What do you mean by this card? I didn't get it.
So
What is a card?
so whenever you observe a cow, um, uh, grazing on a field, what does it do? It just, the first stage, there are two stages for a cow to eat grass. The first stage is it will randomly just keep eating, grazing, grazing, eating, 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 eating. It will just keep eating. Just one chew and it will swallow. It doesn't even chew properly. One chew or two chews and it will swallow the grass. Now, then what it will do is that it will go to a shade, right? Or maybe it will sit somewhere quietly, and then it will take out the cud. Cud as in, at one corner of the stomach, it has stored all the half-eaten grass. It will take out and then keep on chewing properly now, second time. Then it will send it to the stomach again for digestion.
So ma'am, when it is like sitting for a while, it is actually chewing.
So you must have observed that whenever a cow is sitting, it's always chewing non-stop. It is chewing.
Yeah, ma'am.
So what is that? What is it doing? It is chewing the cud. So the half-eaten food is known as the cud. And the cow only, as in only the herbivores. Not only cow, it is also the goat, the camel, the giraffe, all the herbivores. Only they have the certain enzymes which can digest cellulose. Nobody else in the planet has enzymes to digest cellulose. Is that when somebody eats too much of bread, too much of rice, too much of cake, or too much of pizza, that's excess of carbohydrate, because your body does not require that many carbohydrate. So the extra carbohydrates is stored as glycogen in the liver. Liver is the only organ which can store glycogen, right? And a little of it in the muscle cells. And that is how, when it gets stored in the muscle cells, that is how people get fat. When you'll see that, when somebody eats a lot of pizza, lot of rice, lot of basically carbohydrates, that tends to make the person a little bit fat. And of course, there is having too much of fats, as in having too much of butter, too much of oil, too much of fried food, that will also of course lend to that, because fat is much more denser than carbohydrate. Okay. All right. So that was cellulose. Next we come to fats. Yes. Yashika, can you please read this out?
Yeah, ma'am, I can. Fats are the best energy-giving food. They give us energy, particularly when the body runs short of carbohydrates. Fats are stored mainly under the skin in the body. They provide energy when needed by the body. They therefore work like the body's energy banks. Fats stored under the skin acts as an insulator, cutting down heat loss in cold weather. It thus helps us keep warm.
Correct. So basically, little bit of fat is of course necessary. We cannot do away completely by not having fat. We must have fat because this works as an insulator. People you must have observed who are very, very, very skinny, they would feel very cold. Why? Because they don't have a layer of fat under the skin. For example, if this is the skin, all of us, have a little bit of fat deposit under the skin. This is the fat deposit. This is what protects us from many things. And underneath is, all the blood vessels, all the nerves, all the muscles and the skeleton. So the fat actually, first the skin and then the fat protects all the internal organs also. For example, if you have had a fall, your bones will not directly break. The fat will act as a cushion. Right? So it also works as an insulator to keep your body warm, especially during the winters, rainy season. Your body has to maintain.
I'm curious to know that what happens when there is a hairline fracture. Like
That means it was a what do you say? It was a hard fall. It was such a fall and in such an area where the fat deposit was not much. That is when you get hurt more in the knees because your knees does not have much fat deposit and anyways our knee bones is jutting out as in it's coming out protruded. So you get hurt more in the knees, more in the forehead area. Right, because it's all jutting out. So, and fat deposit is also less there. Wherever you have fat deposit, you will get less hurt. And if it's a hairline fracture, that means you've had a bad fall. Okay.
got it.
Pragya, back to you for proteins.
Proteins are made of elements, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. We need proteins for two main reasons. Number one, they form the main structure of our body. Muscles, bones, and cells. They help in growth and bodybuilding and in repairing worn out or damaged tissues. Number two, certain proteins regulate all the chemical reactions that occur inside the body. These proteins are called enzymes. Example, lean meat, fish, egg white, etc.
Correct. So basically, if you see, protein is also made out of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, but there's one thing which is extra and that is nitrogen. And can you tell me some food which is rich in nitrogen?
Ma'am, maybe egg.
Yes, most of the protein will have nitrogen.
Milk.
Yes.
Chicken meat.
Yes.
Ghee.
Fish. So most of the animals or the animal products.
And lentils.
Yes, of course, peanuts, leguminous family, the entire legumes.
Ma'am, what is legume?
Legumes is all kinds of dal and peanuts, nuts,
Got it.
green pea, arhar dal, masoor dal, moong dal, kidney beans.
Yeah, ma'am, got it.
So anything that will have nitrogen, just take it into consideration. Anything that will have nitrogen will fall under the category of protein. And because nitrogen is required for growth and development, to pick up height, to pick up muscle, to gain, basically for muscles, muscular growth, you need a lot of protein. That's the reason why you will see bodybuilders, they keep on having a lot of eggs, 10 eggs in a day, 2 chicken in a day. They have gallons of milk. Why? Because it has nitrogen, and nitrogen helps in increasing the muscles and strengthen the bones. Right? So if you have seen, even carbohydrate has carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Even fat has carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, but in different ratio. It's just that the ratio is different. Having too much of protein will not put on weight. You will not put on weight if you have too much of protein. Right? Because protein anyways cannot be stored inside your body. Protein just gets exhausted, as in, it exits the body. It does its work, whatever needs to be absorbed is absorbed, and then it goes out of the body. Unlike carbohydrate, which is stored. Okay, So certain proteins regulate all the chemical reactions. Remember I said enzymes. So what are these enzymes that we have in our body? The salivary amylase that Pragya said is basically an enzyme which helps in digestion of food. And what is this enzyme? This enzyme is also a protein. So just imagine if you don't have enough protein, you will not have enough enzymes which will help you to digest food. You need a lot of enzymes in your body to do your day-to-day activities. So you need to have protein, and especially growing children till you're 16 or 18 years old, you need to have a lot of protein because you'll pick up height, you'll pick up weight, you'll pick up muscles, right? So the organs need to be bigger. So the cells are multiplying rapidly.
My doubt is that like we are eating kind of medicine and all of proteins, calcium, ions and all. Like how are they made?
They are all artificially made. Most of them are artificially made in the labs. That's the reason why you should not have artificial supplements. If you can have natural supplements, then you can have it. For example, what example can I give? For example, maybe orange. Doctors say that if you have 3 oranges every day, then you can meet your vitamin C requirement. But is it possible for one person to have 3 oranges every day, 7 days a week, 20, 30 days a month, and 365 days in a year? No, it's not possible.
No, ma'am, it's not possible.
How much will you buy? This is just vitamin C. And then there is vitamin B also. For vitamin B, you need to have 1 kg of maybe, green leafy vegetables. Is it possible?
for one day.
For one day.
It's never possible.
Never possible, right? So basically what, the scientists or the pharmaceutical industries have done is that they have formulated a tablet. And they have named it as a multivitamin tablet. They have kind of concentrated in the lab. They have created vitamin C and they have given this much of vitamin C, this much of vitamin B, this much of vitamin A, this much of vitamin E, and this much of whatever is minerals, and they have named it multivitamin. So you have this. But do you think anything that's made in the lab will be as effective as a natural one?
No, ma'am, it
No.
would be artificial anyway because it's
Yes.
like you're mixing something in the lab with it. It wouldn't be as natural and as healthy as the natural food.
Correct. So this is a quick remedy. This will take time. This will be slow. But here with an orange, you're not only getting vitamin C, you're getting so many other things. You're getting roughage, you're getting water, you're getting fructose, you're getting sucrose, you're getting some minerals. But in this, you're getting a lot of chemicals also. The capsule cover is colored, so that's going to your liver, which could lead to toxicity. Your kidney, liver could be damaged. But yes, however, saying that when somebody is unwell and needs to recover really fast, maybe for 15 days, the doctor might say, please have a multivitamin. And you must have it because you really need to recover fast. You can't wait for a natural thing to happen then. You can do the natural thing for the rest of the year. That is why, a concept of a balanced diet has come into place. You have to have a little bit of everything every day and every meal. Okay, coming to micronutrients. Micronutrients are basically again, nutrients which are required in very trace amounts, in very little amounts. You really don't need too much of it. For example, zinc is a trace element. Selenium is a trace element, right? Potassium is a trace element. Phosphorus is not a trace element. We need this for our bones, phosphorus, calcium and all. So these are, iodine. This is a trace element. So these we need it in very little amounts. We don't need it daily also. It's okay even if we have it maybe alternative days or 3 days in a week. So that's fine. That's known as micronutrients, which anyways are available in shortage in this planet. Or maybe only a selective food will have. For example, if I say seafood would include all kinds of sea fishes, oysters, squids, snails, right?
Ma'am,
Seafood,
crabs.
crabs, they are rich in iodine, right? They are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, right? They are rich in phosphorus, they are rich in calcium, right? So basically, you know, if we have seafood, but it's just that we don't have, or we don't need to have seafood every day. We can have it just twice a week, once a week, only then we'll get everything from seafood alone, right? So our diet has to be a combination of several things. Now coming to vitamins, okay? Quick read. Neha, can you please read it out?
Yeah, ma'am. Vitamins A, D, E, and K dissolve in fat. Vitamin B and C dissolve in water. Vitamin A offers resistance to diseases and helps us to see in dark. Vitamin D helps in the process by which energy is produced in the body. Vitamin C helps the body to be in a healthy state. Vitamin D helps to form strong bonds and teeth. Vitamin K helps in clothing of blood.
Correct. So basically, always remember vitamin B and C are water soluble. A, D, E, K are fat soluble. Always remember this.
Ma'am, I can give an example of like the clothing of vitamin K maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, once I was having like an injection for keeping for many days, and one day, like I kept a lot of injections in the same hand, and because of that, the vein just gone down, and like the injection wasn't able to take full. That time, the injection wasn't gone to the nerves. It was directly gone to the blood inside. So it was so painful and like it started bleeding. And the doctor said that like you need to take something rich in vitamin K. Also he gave me and clothing almond with it. And for days I have eaten only clothing like the vitamin K rich foods.
Correct. Correct. That's good. You know, that is a very scientific way to deal with the solutions issue. Very good. So always remember, you know, you can take examples. For example, you know, the oil, okay, let's start with orange juice. Orange juice is vitamin C. Is it soluble in water?
Yes, ma'am, it is soluble
Yes.
in water.
Cucumber has a lot of vitamin B. Is it soluble in water, the cucumber juice?
Yeah, ma'am.
It is. Good. So vitamin E is found in the liver of, or maybe, you know, in coconut oil. Is that soluble in water?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, coconut oil is not soluble.
Yeah. So also, you know, but they dissolve in fat, right? So vitamin K also you find it in a lot of those, you know, liver of animals like chicken liver, salmon liver, etc. Is that soluble in water?
Ma'am, I think it's like some sort of an oil, so I don't think so.
No. So none of the oil-based substance will be soluble in water, right? All of them will be just soluble in fat, right? So what are minerals? Minerals are basically elements that we get in the nature, right? So minerals would be calcium, phosphorus, you know, different kinds, iron, selenium, iodine, all these are minerals, right? And these are organically available in the food that we eat, right? Rich sources of milk, cheese, green leafy vegetables, and, you know, pulses, meat and eggs. All of them will have, you know, rich sources of minerals, right? Okay. Water, obviously, this needs no mention that water is an extremely important part of all living organism. Our human body is made up of 70% water. So we have to keep on, adding water to our body, because so many ways water comes out of our body, right? So we need to have water-rich food like cucumber, tomato, watermelon, sweet lime, oranges, celery. Anything which has got very high amounts of water, we need to have those. Right?
Ma'am, actually, what is a celery?
Celery is this one. You know, it's something like lettuce. It looks like lettuce. It is celery is something
Actually,
which you
ma'am,
put it in
I haven't
salads.
seen this lettuce, nor celery, nor broccoli, or like grapefruit, or I have water rice. I haven't seen this and all, never. I
See,
just put them on.
you can see celery here. Celery is basically raw leaves are used as salad, right? So celery is being used as salad. Lettuce is being used as salad in between the burger when you have burger. What is grapefruit? Grapefruit is nothing but it is a kind of an orange. Just that the inside is not orangish color. It is a little reddish pinkish in color. What is broccoli? Broccoli is nothing but green color cauliflower. Correct?